Hey, how's it going, you guys? It's Justin. I'm here to cover UFC 211 results, all the fights that happened, and also a couple things from the UFC Summer Kickoff Press Conference the day before. That was pretty crazy, and a couple things in the news, little things. But first things first. Oh man, that was a crazy card. I'm gonna start with the main event at UFC 211. Stipe Miocic defeats Junior Dos Santos in the first round via TKO. 2 minutes and 22 seconds into the very first round. Man, that was, in an odd way, it was expected. It seemed unsurprising that Miocic got rid of him that quick, because Junior Dos Santos, I mean, like I said, I called a lot of these cards. That's the only one I got right. Did terrible on this card, but the one I did get right, I think I got it pretty right on. Yeah, Junior Dos Santos, looked impressive in the Rothwell fight, but, he got a guy just that could stick and move, and a guy that's not that athletic in Rothwell, that's really slow. He's a beast, really good submission artist, and really heavy hands, but Stipe is another animal, man. He's a super athlete. He's really fast, really good at pressuring, closing the distance, and the difference between what he did, because he has a very similar style of pressuring, just the pressuring aspect that Jessica Andrade has. And obviously that one didn't go as well. But the difference is Stipe Miocic was really, really good at cutting off the cage. But if you notice, if he goes up to Junior, Junior was... He liked to back up to the cage a lot, which he didn't do in the Rothwell fight, because Rothwell doesn't pressure very well, but people thought he was going to come out and stick and move, but Stipe's pressure is just unbelievable. When he went up to Junior, Junior was trying to back out and walk one certain way. Stipe would kind of toy with him, because Junior would try to go left and right and left, and when that happened, Stipe just pressured him, pushing him all the way back, and was just landing punch after punch. With Junior back to the cage, he literally had to turn away, he had to pull an Overeem and actually turn his back a couple times and run away, and over time that's not going to work, especially with that chin. Stipe, just little short punches, man, that's incredible, but so that was very, very impressive. But just the way he's cutting off the cage was very, very impressive. Just I don't know if it's how big he is, how athletic, how fast he is for his size, but man, Stipe's on a roll, man, right? He might be talked about as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, maybe. After he has a couple more, I think. The Cain Velasquez fight is the only one that makes sense right now, even if Cain has been out for a while and has an injured back. Who else is there? There's who was at number 5? There's what's his name? Gosh, he has a very interesting name. Oh, of course, there's only the top 4 right here. I want the 5th one. He's ranked number 5 right now. The guy from France. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, there he is. Francis Ngannou. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to make the fight with him. It could, but Cain Velasquez makes the most sense. His last win was against Travis Brown. He lost to Fabricio Verdum. That was crazy, huh? But the Cain Velasquez one makes the most sense. That's the greatest matchup, and that's two very, very similar styles. Stipe, I think, is a little bit more athletic. That would be an incredible fight. I have to think about that before we call anything. But, man, Stipe is on a roll. I'm definitely on the bandwagon. I've been for a little bit. But, man, that he just solidified his state doing a rematch, because a lot of people don't do so well in rematches. And, man, he didn't hesitate at all. So that was that fight. And then the next one after that was Joanna Jedrzejczyk. Defeats Jessica Andrade via unanimous decision. I think it was 50-45, 50-44, and 50-45. Just not even a contest with Jessica Andrade. Some people say she might have won the first round. There's no way. And I was picking Andrade for the fight, and man, did I get it wrong. I got it completely wrong. Joanna just... She had one of the best game plans. I didn't think Jessica Andrade would not adjust at all. I thought she would adjust in the future to what JJ was doing, but no, she had no way of trying to pressure her, and she was just following JJ around the cage, just trying to chase her, and it was not working at all. Even when she was getting into the clinch, there was no technique with it. There was no, I mean, I shouldn't say no technique, but she was just using pure strength to try to bring her down. And yeah, you might, it's impressive to try to pick someone up and put him down, but if you don't follow up on it or try to get on top of him right away, JJ's just boom, just gonna get right back up and start doing her thing. But those leg kicks were nasty right in the beginning, just boom, 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 getting in that front leg, and just I don't know why Jessica wasn't checking any leg kicks. I don't know if it's the camp that she's in. I mean, I thought she was gonna look a lot more impressive than that, but she looked very one-dimensional, very just plodding forward and not putting combinations together, not pressuring her enough. She landed a couple little shots in the first round and the fifth, but no, there was nothing there. Joanna Jedrzejczyk is I don't think there's anyone else to beat her, huh? I mean, I thought this was going to be her kryptonite, but man, just her technique of those leg kicks and moving to the left and right after she was done throwing her combination. A lot of people try to step back when it comes to Jessica Andrade's counters. She was stepping left and right out of it instead of going back, which was perfect. Was taking angles, and Jessica Andrade was trying to follow her on the cage through that. So, man, just JJ just put on a clinic on her, huh? So that's that one. And then Demian Maia defeats Jorge Masvidal via split decision. And I'm pretty sure it was 29-28, two of them to Demian Maia, and one 29-28 to Jorge. I heard a whole bunch of people judging this a whole bunch of different ways. I mean, it depends what you want to score it as, either damage or with control. And Demian Maia just controlled him a majority of that fight. He said it was tough. He said it was his toughest. Demian Maia in an interview afterwards said it was his toughest match to date. I assume throughout his recent run that he's had, but it's the hardest match he's ever had because Jorge was just not going down. But the problem is Jorge, he had opportunities to win that fight, to win those rounds, and he was content just to sit there and let Demian Maia be a backpack on him for, I think it was that first round. It was about 2 minutes, and he finally fell off of him in the last 20 seconds, and Jorge punched him. But man, if only that was like 20 seconds earlier, or if he had a little bit more urgency to take Demian Maia down. I mean, it's easier said than done, but man, Jorge could have finished that fight in the first round because he was getting nailed in that first round. And I mean, I gave him the first round just because of that, because Jorge was getting him on the feet for the first minute or two, and then that last thing at the end, I gave him that first round. But you can't deny Demian Maia's control in the last two. I mean, man, he's a beast, right? I mean, him against Tyron Woodley. People saying Tyron Woodley is a bad matchup for him, and he's going to beat him because of the power and speed. But you got to think, Tyron Woodley loves to back up to the cage. He loves backing up and sending to the cage, and that's where Demian Maia got all of his takedowns. He got a good amount of his takedowns. He loves going against the cage and taking you down after that, and his takedowns are monstrous. I mean, it was really cool. It looked, man, he just showed a lot of it. He showed a little bit of it in his last fight against Condit, where he kind of goes down to his butt a little bit. He almost pulls guard, but not really all the way. And then he takes an angle, he takes the leg, and then turns left and uses that momentum on you. It's so deceptive. I mean, when you see it at first, you're like, what is he doing? Why is he sitting down? And he turns. You're like, oh, man, this is bad news. And he did a lot to Jorge, and it was a beautiful fight. It was awesome, and give it all to Jorge. I mean, he lasted throughout the whole thing and had his moments in the fight and did very, very well defending. But that's the problem with him. That's why he has a lot of split decisions. He's content with, if he doesn't get hurt, if he's not getting hit, then he takes that as a moral victory, and he doesn't have enough. Which is why I thought he would have more, because he asked for the fight for Demian Maia. I thought he was going to have more of a statement. He's like, okay, I'm going to try to take this guy out. I didn't think he just wanted to stick to a moral victory of surviving, but it looked like that's what he did. But, man, that was a really, really close fight. I mean, Jorge, I don't think falls much from here. I mean, is impressive. I mean, that was such a close fight. I don't think he's gonna fall down from here. I don't know what's next for him, but someone high up at 170, obviously. But then Demian Maia, I think, has a pretty decent chance at Tyron Woodley. I might even consider picking him. I mean, I don't know how to think about that, but yeah, but that's gonna be a really good fight if they make that. Okay, and then Frankie Edgar, man, this fight. I mean, all these fights on all these cards were just crazy to watch, right? I mean, Frankie Edgar defeats Yair Rodriguez via the second round TKO, the doctor stoppage with that nasty bump to his left eye, and one was really disappointing about this. I forgot who covered it. I mean, Joe Rogan pointed out right away after the first round that he didn't put any pressure on his eye via the that metal bar. I don't know what that thing's called, but putting any pressure on his eye to reduce the swelling on there. I mean, right when he said that, I was like, oh no, like it's Frankie Edgar demolished him that first round. But I mean, I don't want to say obviously because Frankie Edgar completely controlled Yair, but if that was a 5-round fight, I mean, I don't know. I don't maybe I have too many hopes for him, but because he demolished Yair, I don't know what I'm saying, but Yair just needs more time to learn on the ground to how to control better. I noticed that he was just letting Frankie get off on him, and there was no urgency to get up. It was just trying to push him away with his legs and trying to move around. But if there's no urgency to get up, I mean, you're not gonna do anything on the ground like that. You're just gonna get demolished, and easier said than done. But I just noticed he was making space, and he was making pretty good space, but if he could explode right away and then turn and get up and even just get to his back and stand up, even if Frankie Edgar is your back, you're so much bigger than him. And you can out-strengthen him, but yeah, Frankie Edgar, just king of the ground and pound and king of those takedowns, right? Just demolished him. I mean, if that Max Holloway fight, that would be incredible. If Max Holloway beats Jose Aldo, then the Frankie Edgar fight would be incredible. That would be a really, really cool fight to watch. But against Jose Aldo, I don't know if they'll make that again. And him going down to 135, I don't think he wants to, but I think if everyone clamors up enough, it seems like he's decent under pressure. We can all what is that? Wow, I can't think of it, but yeah, we can all just pressure him enough, either on Twitter or whatever, just the whole media, everyone can clamor up on him to go down to 135 and get a title shot, or even number one contender. Him against Dominic Cruz would be that would be a really, really fun fight to watch. Dominic Cruz, TJ Dillashaw, any of those top guys would be a really, really cool fight. And yeah, that'll be a good fight. And then the one after that, David Branch defeats Krzysztof Jotko via split decision. This was, kind of boring fight. I mean, David Branch just pulled what he normally does, at least what I saw beforehand. I didn't know him very much, but Jotko just didn't have any urgency or anything, and it was just kind of a lackadaisical fight. But so we're gonna take that. That was the end of the main card, and then the main event on the undercard. Man, this was disappointing, right? Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier was declared no contest. Man, Dustin Poirier won that fight. I don't care what anyone says about illegal knees, not illegal knees, whatever, it doesn't matter. First off, they're saying 2 of those knees were illegal, and that's completely wrong. And just all the other media, MMA fighting, everyone's covering and saying both those knees were illegal. They're saving on the broadcast, and they're not illegal. That first one, the very last one was illegal, of course, because both hands were on the ground. That's completely illegal. But the first one, or the second to last one, I should say, because there were 3. The second to last one is hand lifted up. And if you listen to, I think it was Herb Dean or John McCarthy talk about it, they said you have to have your hand, and they're the referees, so we have to listen to them 100% beside anyone else. They said that your hand, for it to be down, you be a downed opponent, your hand has to be holding weight. Holding up weight. It can't just be your fingertips on the ground like via Chris Weidman. What happened there? Why those were legal. that same thing happened. I'm why saying both knees are legal. I know this really doesn't matter in the overall period, but just stick to what the referees are saying. Don't just try to make it bigger than it actually is, and try to make put Herb Dean down because he didn't stop that first knee or that second to last knee because he made it go after that. And of course, he did that for a reason. I mean, he just explained it beforehand, and people saying like both those knees were illegal and Herb Dean should have stopped it earlier. No. He saw what happened. His hand lifted up. It wasn't putting any bearing weight, and that's why he kept it going. And then that second knee that Alvarez landed, that was obviously completely illegal, and that should have ended the fight, and that should have been a DQ, and Poirier should have won that fight, 100%. And I'm not going to speculate exactly why Alvarez did it. I mean, he was obviously rocked completely, and he came out and said it was an accident afterwards, and he seemed very humble about it. But in the moment, you do some crazy things. I mean, split-second decisions. If you can get a little shortcut here and there to try to get out of a fight you think you're losing, you're going to throw an illegal knee, see if you can get either a point deduction or something, and try to take it. Who knows what he was thinking? We have no idea. The point is, they declared it was a no contest because the quote-unquote intention of him throwing the knee was he didn't know it was illegal, and I think that's complete bullshit. It doesn't matter about the intention. A foul's a foul. So you're saying the intention of, let's say John Jones versus that fight he got disqualified for. So he had so that same thing, he was throwing those 12-6 elbows all the way down, so he had the intention of throwing it. They're illegal elbows, but you can tell he had the intention of knowing that they were illegal and throwing them anyway. You can just read that off of the way he's throwing it, and then that was a DQ. And then this one, Eddie Alvarez, you knew his intention right when he threw it. You can read his mind saying like, oh, I don't know these are illegal, and he's throwing them. People can just understand them. People, I guess, apparently can read minds now, and they can know the intention of fighters, exactly what they're doing. I think that rule is completely obnoxious, and it screws Dustin Poirier out of a win, so he can step up and, man, if he got the win out of Eddie Alvarez after this, I mean, he can go up. This could be a number one contender fight. I mean, he could fight. Imagine Dustin Poirier versus Tony Ferguson. Imagine Dustin Poirier versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. I mean, those would be fun fights. You can think what you want of them, but those would be incredible fights, especially the way Dustin Poirier looked in this match. He looked incredible. His hands look so fast, and yeah, he got hit with a couple punches at Eddie Alvarez afterwards, but it's because he's an action fighter. He's a really, really fast action fighter. And when I was telling people were saying Dustin Poirier's chin is not there, and it is there. He took a huge punch from Eddie Alvarez and stood on his feet. He was rocked a little, but nothing like Eddie. Eddie doesn't have a chin anymore. He got hit with a fast punch, and he was just out, and he was getting demolished. And then Eddie Alvarez just that was so unfortunate, but Dustin was winning that fight. I feel like they screwed him. They screwed him out of a win bonus. They screwed him out of possible fight of the night bonus. They screwed him out of possible $100,000 and more than that. I mean, that's complete bullshit. I mean, good Dustin Poirier is writing a reiteration to the commission about it. He wants to get that overturned or checked out, and I hope it goes well. I mean, we probably know what's going to happen. Probably nothing's going to happen, but I hope something happens. I hope he gets recompensated from the UFC, or hope he gets a really favorable match in the future. But man, that was unfortunate, right? It was a good fight until that happened, but yeah, I thought that should have been a winner via DQ for Dustin Poirier. So, and the next fight after that is Jason Knight versus Jason Knight defeats Chaz Skelly via third round TKO, 39 seconds into the third round. I forgot who was saying this, but Luke Thomas says it was an egregious stoppage. I want to watch his Monday morning analyst and see exactly why he was thinking that, and I give him all the respect for that. But I mean, I don't think it was egregious. It might have been a little late, but watching it a couple times, Chaz Skelly, I mean, he had his hands in front of him. He was getting hit over there, but he was still kind of moving around. And I mean, those last couple, he could have probably stopped it earlier, but I don't think it was as egregious as people are saying. But man, that was a really, really good fight, huh? Jason Knight is the real deal. Um, Defending those takedowns and looks really, really good on the feet, and just getting on top of him. And I don't know, Jason Knight versus anyone at 145, any of the upper echelon would be really good. He called out uh, who just fought Cub Swanson. Man, it's I make fun of people all the time for forgetting names on broadcasts and stuff like that, but it's a lot harder than I realize now. I know. Maybe I can't be such as critical. I can't be as critical to fighters because I don't know how it is to be in there. Same idea. I can't be as critical to people in broadcast for saying dumb things or not forgetting names because I'm terrible at that. Artem Lobov. Yeah, he called out and said, like, I'd like to demolish Artem Lobov. He called out the Korean Superboy. Those would be really fun fights. They're both action fighters. That would be really, really cool fight to watch. And then Chase Sherman defeats Rashad Coulter the second round, 3:36 into the second round. This was man, Chase Sherman, it looks really, really athletic. He doesn't even look like a heavyweight in there. He looks like a middleweight or light heavyweight. He looks like a middleweight going around running in there with his feet moving, his super fast hands. Man, his punches look really, really incredible for a heavyweight. He has a lot of potential, but man, I forgot who said it, but he loves to get himself into a pickle, right? I mean, right when he looks like he's dominating the fight, destroying Rashad's left leg, he couldn't even walk on it anymore, and he just let him get back into the fight. He said afterwards he loves getting in a brawl, but I mean, his defense needs work. He has really good footwork and going back and forth, but he backs out. He backs straight out, and he lets the other guy counter really well and doesn't read it. Maybe he needs to work on hand-eye coordination or speed or something like that. But yeah, I that was a really, really cool fight, going back and forth, and they were both waving back and forth. That was really, really cool fight. I mean, that was really, really fun to watch, and I'm glad they both got bonuses. Because they're both warriors, got in there, and Chase Sherman looks really, really promising as long as he can get that defense up and hopefully not to get any wars, because on the upper echelon you're not going to be able to take those punches. You're just not going to be able to. So James Vick defeats Marco Polo Reyes. First round TKO, 2 minutes and 39 seconds into the first round. Yeah, James Vick looks good. Those straight right hands, those combinations, really, really long arms, like all the way in, even at the very, very end of his punch, he still has all that power all the way through. Kind of opposite of Stipe, where he has all that power in the middle, all the way to right here, and when it extends, it kind of falls out. James Vick has all the way in. He has power all the way through, and he can really lean into it. And he looked really, really good this fight. Really fast, a lot of good footwork. And yeah, just landed that nice right hand and finished the fight. And he called out that he should be ranked and fighting the top guys. And I don't see why not. That would be really cool to see him with a lot of top guys at 155. So I think it's good for him. And then Cortney Casey versus Jessica Aguilar via unanimous decision, 30-27. I didn't see much of this fight, but Cortney Casey, I think, just did what everyone, what people thought she would. Just super athletic. Jessica Aguilar is probably over the hump. Doesn't look that good. People thought she was good before, but Cortney Casey looked really good in that fight. So she also said afterwards, she said something interesting where in an interview afterwards she was talking about other female fighters, how she thinks it's unfair that she's not getting as much coverage as she wants, because she thinks female fighters are just there to get coverage. You have to flaunt your sexuality and go out there like Paige Van Zandt and other fighters like that, just to get media coverage or anything like that. But I think she can become undeniable. I think she can come out and do it. Look at Joanna Jedrzejczyk. She's not doing that much at all. She comes out with those Reebok street clothes and everything like that, and doesn't flaunt sexuality at all. And she's arguably like the most famous female fighter right now. If you hear the crowds when she goes in there, yeah, those are hardcore fans, but they're cheering their asses off for her. They love her. So I think she's a good example. She might be the exception, obviously, because she's the champ, but I think she can make the way for other fighters. If you can become undeniable, I think you can become famous. Yeah, there's obviously some cases where Paige Van Zant and other ones where you can go up and down. You're not the best fighter, but you flaunt your sexuality, you get famous and get on Dancing with the Stars and shit. But I don't know. I think she makes a very good point. But yeah, just work on being undeniable, Casey, and see if that'll work for you. So then the other two fights, yeah, I didn't really watch those. So yeah, and then so that was a really good card. Probably get like a B plus out of everything just because it wanted more. I think it wanted more like Frankie Edgar and Yair Rodriguez. I thought that would be more competitive. I thought David Branch, Jotko would be more exciting. Obviously the disappointment with Dustin Poirier, but I mean other than that sorry, excuse me. Other than that, you can't really argue with much. That was a really fun fight, really cool. So okay, now let's go to that UFC Summer Kickoff Press Conference. That was the day before. Man, that was cool. Seeing Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier, that'll get your mojo up, exciting for that fight again. Man, I want to see that fight so bad again. I mean, they were just letting each other know what was happening, right? I mean, Cormier coming out and calling him a junkie, calling him just a loser, just shouting out the N-word. He was getting loose up there, and Jon Jones had a couple lines of his own saying like, I beat you off a week off of cocaine and all these ridiculous things. And then Kevin Lee and I knew I'd forget the other guy's name. Michael Chiesa. Yeah, that's gonna be a really cool fight, but them getting a brawl up there, I don't know. It's Kevin Lee. I think he's trying to come off as saying that that's just who he is, but I think he knows what he's doing, trying to get up there and try to get the fans riled up. I think it's cool, but I don't know. I think maybe just need to get more comfortable with it. Maybe he just goes up there, just says what he wants, but it seems a little forced. People are saying Daniel Cormier's forced himself like that. I don't think he's forcing anything out. I think he's saying what he wants to say and talking shit to Jon Jones. He's frustrated with him. He's like Daniel Cormier is telling him that. Like, oh, I can't wait till I fight you going there, but I'm not going to believe it till you actually step in the octagon. I mean, are you actually going to show up? Like, he was calling him out for those reasons. I think he was being more honest, but I think Kevin Lee was trying to go out there and rile some feathers, and I mean, good on him. I mean, he got Michael Chiesa to come out and saying, like, don't talk shit about my mom, and come out and fight each other, and that'll be a really fun fight. It's cool to get invested in fights. I mean, I think that's really important for the UFC to grow and for these smaller names to grow, is to go out there and make some coverage, like plus or minus. It doesn't matter what opinions are. If people think it's forced or people think it's fabricated, whatever, it doesn't matter. Go out there and make headlines, talk shit to your opponent, or say what's on your mind. Like I like Quinta saying, just say what's on your mind. UFC cut me, come on, you won't do it. Like, just say what's on your mind, be honest. I think a lot of people will respect that, and I'm invested in that fight now. I wasn't before because I didn't really care. Like, I like Michael Chiesa. I'm a fan of him, but I wasn't really invested into that fight. But now, I mean, now I can't wait to see it because they have some beef with each other now, which is cool. So, and then Valentina Shevchenko versus Amanda Nunes. That's gonna be a really good fight. I mean, we saw how the first one went. People are saying that Amanda Nunes doesn't have a gas tank, and that's before she was at American Top Team. I mean, she even came out and said she didn't train very well for that fight. I mean, she said she overtrained for that fight, and that's why she got tired. She said she trained too much. She just put her nose to the grindstone and just trained, and she said at that point at the end of the first round, she said she couldn't feel the legs, couldn't feel anything, and she said that was overtraining. So I don't know. I tend to believe her because going to a new camp and doing everything smarter, and she's looked incredible since she moved to ATT. And, yeah, so I think she's going to look a lot better. People are saying because it's a 5-round fight, she's going to gas, but I'm not so sure. I mean, I think she goes in there and lasts longer and pieces her up. You saw how patient she was with Ronda Rousey. She could have just went after her, but she was just super methodical and rocking her that first time and just waiting for the right punches and getting them in there and just super methodical going out there and demolishing her. And that was a lot different than what you do, is you just empty the gas tank and hope to survive later on. And I don't know. I think she can be really methodical out there, and she has super heavy hands, super long arms, and I think I have Amanda Nunes in that rematch. Um, what a lot of people don't. So, yeah, some of those other fights at the summer press conference are going to be good too. Claudia Gadelia and Karolina Kovalkiewicz. It's going to be a really good fight. A couple other ones are going to be good. So, oh yeah, Michael Johnson versus that new guy from I forgot where he was from, but yeah, that's going to be a really good fight as well. So we'll see how it goes. And yeah, so that's it. Thank you guys for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any other questions or want me to cover anything, please leave them in the comments below. Just let me know. I love doing these videos, and I'll do more if you guys want them. And if you guys want like an audio podcast or something like that out of it, yeah, just let me know anything you want, and please share. I mean, I love doing this. I'm going to do it anyway, even if I have 2 views or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I like doing it. So please let me know if you like it, and I will be doing more. If you think I need more energy or coming out, I'm still trying to get comfortable. So give me some patience or give me some time. So I'll get comfortable. Thanks, guys, for listening. Have a good one.